I couldn't believe it when my mother-in-law, Grace Harrow, refused to listen to reason, always testing our family's patience with her so-called compliance tests. Before my big interview, I begged her 1,000 times not to barge in, but she still pounded on the door like a drum, yelling for me to come eat. My interview was interrupted over and over, and I lost the opportunity I'd fought for years to get. I lost it. Screaming and raging in frustration, Grace wailed and beat her chest dramatically, begging for forgiveness through crocodile tears. My husband, Joe Carver, exploded with anger, kicking me hard. Mom just cares about you. Can't you show some understanding for an old woman's good intentions? He barked. My son, Jay, barely looked up from his video game, tossing out a casual jab. Mom, you didn't perform well and got rejected. How can you blame grandma for that? I lost my job. Unable to accept that years of hard work had gone down the drain, I spiraled into despair. Later, while working odd jobs, I fell and broke my leg. The doctor told me to rest and recover, but Grace insisted the countryside air would do wonders for my healing. I refused, but Joe and Jay both sided with her, claiming she only had my best interests at heart. Against my will, I was shipped off to the countryside, where Grace arranged for a creepy old bachelor from next door to take care of me, saying an older man would know how to help that night. He forced himself on me. In the end, I couldn't take it anymore and drank pesticide to end my life. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day of that fateful interview. This time, I swore to make everyone taste Grace's infuriating compliance tests. Jade, we're having mushroom and onion tarts for lunch today. Okay, Grace's familiar voice snapped me out of my daze. I glanced at the calendar on my phone screen. 30 minutes until my online interview. Blinking hard, I pinched my thigh until the sharp pain confirmed it. I had truly been reborn in my past life. Grace had a habit of refusing to listen. I'd finally landed an interview with my dream company after 2 years of preparation. I'd told her not to enter my room, but during the interview, she banged on the door relentlessly, even unlocking it to barge in with a plate of tarts, shoving them at me. The interviewer, annoyed after multiple interruptions, canceled my chance. I broke down, screaming at her. I told you not to come in. Can't you understand plain English? Grace put on an innocent, pitiful face, wiping fake tears as she apologized. When I ignored her, she dropped to her knees in the living room, crying and beating her chest. Jade, please forgive me. I just didn't want you to go hungry. Before I could even respond, Joe stormed over and kicked me in the stomach, cursing me for being heartless and failing to appreciate Grace's good intentions. Jay, munching on a tart while gaming, didn't even flinch at my pained expression. You weren't prepared. How can you blame grandma for your failure? He sneered. My heart turned cold toward this family. Combined with the loss of years of effort, I sank into a pit of despair. Later, after breaking my leg on a job, Grace refused to let me get proper treatment, instead suggesting I recover in the countryside. That decision led to my assault. I begged them to bring me back and report the crime, but over the phone, Grace screeched, if you report him, our family will be so humiliated. Everyone in the surrounding villages already knows you're a troublemaker, seducing men. Joe's voice was icy as he called me cheap, and Jay mocked me with disgust, calling me a disgrace. Having a mom like you is my bad luck. He spat. My heart turned to ash, and I ended it all with pesticide. Snapping back to the present, hatred surged in my chest. I quickly gathered my interview materials and stepped out of the bedroom as if nothing was wrong. Grace was just coming out with a plate of tarts. Seeing me, she smiled. Jade, I washed the mushrooms several times. I promise you won't even taste them. My brow furrowed instantly. I'm allergic to mushrooms. I've told her countless times. When I first married into this family, she made tarts and swore they were filled with spinach and feta. The moment I took a bite, she smirked triumphantly. See, I told you, there's nothing you can't eat. You handled mushrooms just fine. You're just being picky. I was so nauseated I couldn't eat for the rest of the day. After living through 2 lifetimes, I figured her out. The more you tell her not to do something, the more determined she is to do it. I kept my voice cold. I'm not eating. I've got things to do. With that, I grabbed my bag and left, ignoring her shouts behind me and Jay's annoyed plea for her to be quiet. I found a quiet hourly rate office to do my interview. When I finally got the notification that I'd passed, the weight on my heart lifted. Thank goodness, there was still time. More importantly, I needed to get out of this house and away from this family as soon as possible. When I returned home, I walked in to find Grace rummaging through my bedroom, holding the suit I'd prepared for work. Frowning, I asked, what are you doing? Oh, I heard you had an interview coming up. This suit looked dirty, so I thought I'd wash it for you. She replied. I bit back my anger, speaking patiently. Haven't I told you not to touch my stuff? Do you even realize how many things you've ruined? Grace put on her usual pitiful act, timidly setting the suit down. I just care about you. We're family. There's no yours or mine between us. My chest burned with frustration. She always does this, twisting people's words to suit herself. Once I bought an expensive silk dress and specifically told her not to put it in the washing machine. She agreed to my face, then ruined it the next day by tossing it in anyway. Taking a deep breath, I snatched the suit back. I don't care if you understand plain English or just pretend not to. From now on, stay out of my business. The moment I finished, Jay shoved me aside. What do you mean grandma doesn't understand? She's just trying to help. What's the big deal about washing a suit? Joe stormed over, slapping me hard across the face, his eyes blazing. Jade Rivers, how dare you talk to mom like that? Clutching my stinging cheek, the fiery pain brought back memories of my past life. Grace's compliance tests were never just aimed at me, but I used to shield the others from her antics. Not this time. I wouldn't stand in the way anymore. Taking a deep breath, I hid my hatred behind a forced smile. Mom, I'm sorry. You're only doing this for my sake. I shouldn't have snapped at you. They all smirked, satisfied. I clenched my fists. I hoped they could still smile when what came next unfolded. I kept the fact that I passed the interview a secret from everyone. That suit ended up being forcibly washed by Grace with dark-colored clothes, ruining it. She gave me a fawning smile. Jade, I'm getting old and forgot your light clothes can't go with dark ones. You're not mad, right? I looked at her fake act, too tired to argue. Of course not. I know you meant well. I avoided any confrontation. After all, I wanted Grace to think her compliance tests worked even on a tough nut like me. Then she'd shift her focus elsewhere. After she left, I pulled the ruined suit from the washer and tossed it in the downstairs trash. That night, I stayed up until 2 a.m. finishing post-interview tasks and organizing years of work files. The next day was the weekend. When Joe got up, I specifically told him I wasn't eating and needed rest, but within minutes, Grace burst into my room. Jade, time to get up and eat. I pulled the blanket over my head, irritated. I'm not eating. I just want to rest. 2 minutes later, she twisted the doorknob again. It's past 8:05. Come on, get up and eat. I reheated last night's tarts for you. You didn't even try them yesterday. I covered my ears, frustration building, but Grace wouldn't stop until she got her way. She kept calling my name, then yanked the curtains open. Blinding sunlight streamed in, forcing my eyes open. I was beyond annoyed. I said, I'm not eating. Can't you let me rest for a bit? Grace put on a hurt expression, wiping non-existent tears. I already cooked for you. Why won't you eat? I struggled to suppress my rage. The commotion woke Jay, who was studying in his room. He stormed out, slamming my door. What's with all the noise? No one's asking you to cook. You're just eating what's ready and still complaining. You've got no respect for elders. Respect, I sneered inwardly. Let's see if he can still talk like that when Grace turns her tricks on him. Did I ask her to cook? And I already said I'm not eating. When you were little, did I ever force you to eat something you didn't like? A flicker of unease crossed Jay's face. I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. I'd raised this boy with all my heart. When Jay was a baby starting on solid food, I discovered he was allergic to wheat bran. I warned everyone at home not to feed him anything with it. Grace agreed to my face, but then secretly fed him oatmeal. Jay had a severe allergic reaction and ended up in the ER. I was a mess, crying and demanding she leave our house. She whined pitifully. It's just a little oatmeal. Everyone in our family grew up eating it. I've never heard of anyone dying from oatmeal. I was furious. From then on, I handled everything for Jay myself, but as he grew up under Grace's influence, he drifted away from me. Somehow, the story twisted into me depriving him of oatmeal, stunting his growth and intelligence compared to others. Jay shot back defensively. You say it's for my good, but is it really? Grandma kindly made you tarts, and you won't even get out of bed. You're heartless. She's ancient and still cooks for you. Hearing our argument, Grace came over with the tarts, shoving them right in my face. Jade, stop fighting. Look, I saved these just for you. The smell of mushrooms and onions hit me, and my stomach churned, but to avoid more drama, I took the plate. Once I shut the door, I dumped them straight into the trash outside. I heard Grace muttering, I guess when you're old, no one likes you anymore. Jay, you won't hate Grandma, right?